Hi, hello friends. Welcome back to Love English with Sil. Today I'm here with the second part of our video lecture series on classical literary criticism. Today we are going to discuss the contributions of Aristotle, the very famous Greek philosopher. Let's get started. The Spoudaios Aristotle was an academic, a man of letters, a naturalist. In the words of T.S. Eliot, the very famous modernist critic, Aristotle was a perfect critic. Today, let's have a deeper insight regarding the major works and the contributions of Aristotle. Of course, Aristotle was a ancient Greek philosopher. He was born in the year 384 BC and was died in 322 BC. He was a towering figure in ancient Greek philosophy. He made important contributions to logic, criticism, rhetoric, physics, biology, psychology, mathematics, metaphysics, ethics, and politics. Wow, great, right? Okay. As we all know, he was a student of Plato for 20 years. He spent some 20 invaluable years under the tutelage of Plato before establishing his own academy titled the Lyceum. Okay. But as we all know, he is famous for rejecting Plato's many ideas, especially theory of forms. Aristotle was more empirically minded or scientifically active than Plato and Plato's teacher, Socrates. We can see many interpreters of Aristotle used the term achromatic with reference to his works, by which is meant that each work of his cannot be completely understood without the aid of his other works. Okay, his major works are Nicomachean Ethics, Politics, Metaphysics, Poetics, and On the Soul, otherwise known as De Anima. There is another work regarding rhetoric. It is also titled as Rhetoric. Okay, anyway, Rhetoric and Poetics contain the literary criticism of Aristotle, and both these works are his lecture notes. We have to focus on Poetics. Poetics has 26 chapters, and it was written approximately in the year 335 BC, and it is considered to be the oldest surviving work of literary criticism. The Poetics has been a central, a precious, invaluable document in the study of aesthetics and literature for centuries. It has proven to be influential during the period of Renaissance. It continues to have relevance in scholarly circles, academic circles, even today. So, today we are going to understand his major concepts, his ideas regarding literature. Okay. The first concept is mimesis. The most common accepted English equivalent of this Greek term is imitation. Mimesis means imitation. Aristotle regarded mimesis or imitation to be one of the distinctive aspects of human nature, and he considered it as a way to understand the nature of art. As we all know, his teacher Plato considered the Platonic view was that the world is an imperfect reflection of an ideal archetypal order. The world is a lower order of reality, and poetry, being an imitation of imitation, is twice removed from reality. Right? We have already discussed about it in our previous video, right? So, Plato banished poets from his ideal commonwealth or ideal country, right? But here, Aristotle rejected Plato's doctrine of ideas, and Aristotle considered imitation as somewhat creative and dynamic, while Plato considered imitation implied copying, blind copying. But Aristotle says that the artist is the maker, and his creations are imitations of human action, human character, human behavior, and human emotions. So, imitation is a kind of representation and not just copying, and it does not mean photographic reproduction. So, artistic imitation or poetic imitation is an imitation of inner human action. Imitation bears relationship to learning and acquiring knowledge. Aristotle describes the processes and purposes of imitation or mimesis. Art is imitation, is of course, and that's all right. There is nothing bad about it. It is even good. Imitation is natural to humans from childhood onwards. We learn new things by imitating our surroundings, imitating other people. Imitation is how children learn, and we all learn from imitations. So there is nothing bad about it. And we can see Aristotle appropriates, or he tries to promote or support the imitative recreation of the reality of our daily life or our daily world. Okay, and now we have to look into his theory of tragedy. According to Aristotle, in his chapter 6 of Poetics, he says that tragedy is defined as an imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude, in language embellished with each kind of artistic ornament, the several kinds being found in separate parts of the play, in the form of action, not of narrative, through pity and fear, effecting the proper purgation of these emotions. That is, tragedy is an imitation of an action that is serious. Serious means serious in the sense that it best raises and purifies pity and fear. Serious means in a moral, psychological, and social sense. Okay. And we can see this action is complete and have a kind of magnitude of itself. That means the work or the drama should have the dramatic whole should have a proper beginning, a proper middle, and an end. And we can see all these elements should arouse a kind of twin emotions, that is pity and fear, among the audience. And there should be a proper purgation or catharsis or purification of these elements, of these emotions. We can see Poetics is devoted to the analysis of the scope and proper use of these elements, these above said elements, with illustrative examples. Poetics gives us illustrative examples that were selected from many tragic dramas or tragedies of Sophocles, Aeschylus, and Euripides. As we all know, Aristotle was a great admirer of Sophocles, especially the Oedipus Rex. Oedipus Rex was his very favorite work, and he gave a lot of illustrations from this work. We can see his another important concept, that is catharsis. Catharsis is a key word in Aristotle, but it occurred only twice in Poetics. In chapter 6 itself, he talks about the concept of catharsis, and catharsis is said to be a process through which the purification or purgation of the emotions happen. Okay, and we can see in criticism, catharsis is a metaphor used by Aristotle in the Poetics to describe the effects of true tragedy on the spectator. We can see Plato considered catharsis as somewhat harmful or a kind of dangerous thing, but Aristotle sees art and artistic imitation, and hence the idea of catharsis not as being harmful, but as being beneficial, either as a therapy, or as a moralizing agent, or as a release from guilt, or as a supreme form of learning. So, catharsis has a positive shade in the work of Aristotle. We can see the word catharsis is actually derived from the medical term catharsis, that means purgation or purification. So, catharsis is a kind of process through which the character of a wise, virtuous man, he has some feelings, fear, anger, pity, pleasure, etc., at the right time with reference to the right people, the right object, with the right motive, and in the right way. So, the character that is portrayed on the stage creates a kind of twin emotions. It results in the arousal of two emotions in the audience, and it is a kind of cleansing of the soul of the audience. So, this kind of a cleansing of the soul or purgation or purification is what happens when we watch a tragedy. So, Aristotle supports it. So, the audience can undergo a cathartic experience and is somewhat positive as far as Aristotle is concerned. Now we have another term, that is hamashia. Hamartia is also called the tragic flow. The term is usually rendered into English as tragic flow, or to miss the mark, or to err, or to fail, or to sin. We can see the protagonist commits a moral error, and for this, the protagonist, the hero, he receives his punishment. Hamartia is a word that is derived from the Greek term hamartenin, to means to err. It is considered to be an inherent defect or a shortcoming or a kind of error in judgment from the part of the protagonist. Okay, it is this imperfection later came to be interpreted as a moral flaw. We can see the elements of hamartia in Othello and Hamlet. We can see in Othello's jealousy is considered to be his tragic flaw, and in Hamlet, it is his irresolution or the concept of procrastination is considered to be his tragic flaw. And almost most great tragedies defy such a simple interpretation as well. Right. Now we have the next term, that is podos. For the audience to feel pity, the hero should possess noble character. So, podos means, we can see For Aristotle, the character of a tragedy determines his effect or his life that comes under a downfall, and it is one of the requirements of a tragedy according to Aristotle. And we can see the nobility of the character referred to in Poetics is morally determined, but it is not socially constructed or socially construed. The protagonist is important enough to claim the attention of the audience. He should have some kind of a value, right? And the life of the protagonist is worth the sacrifice he is making. And we get deeply concerned with the enormity of the effect of his fate or of his loss. Aristotle defines tragedy and comedy based on the heroes. For Aristotle, character is what determines moral choice. He even classifies genres using this principle. He considers comedy has a base character as hero, whereas the tragedy has a noble character, right? Tragedy imitates noble character and comedy a base character. Now we can move on to his idea of the major components of tragedy. Okay, there are major 6 components of tragedy. First one is plot, second one is character, third is thought, fourth is diction, fifth is spectacle, sixth is song. Plot is the first principle, it is considered to be the soul of a tragedy, and it emphasizes much on its unity. Aristotle defines plot as the arrangement of the incidents, not the story itself, but the way the incidents are presented to the audience, the structure of the play. According to Aristotle, tragedies where the outcome depends on a tightly constructed cause and effect chain of actions that are superior to those that depend primarily on the character and the personality of the protagonist. So we can say plot is considered to be a unified artistic whole that is directed towards the intended effect of a tragedy. Now we have the second element, that is the character. Okay, character has the second place in importance. So in a perfect tragedy, character or the protagonist character will support the plot. The tragic hero, who is always a nobleman, he is always higher than the ordinary moral worth. So the protagonist should be renowned and prosperous. So his change of fortune can be from good to bad. So this change should be visible. It should come about as the result not of vice, but of some great error or frailty or a kind of tragic flaw in a character. So the character is very, very important. Then we have the third element, that is the thought. Thought is third in importance, and it is found that where something is proved to be or not to be, or a general maxim is enunciated. Aristotle actually says a little about thought. Most of what he says is associated with how speeches should reveal character. However, we can assume that this category would also include what we call as the themes of the play. So the thought is a way of saying what is appropriate to be given to a given circumstance or a situation or a context. The fourth one is diction. Diction is the fourth one, and it is the expression of the meaning in words which are appropriate or which is proper to the plot, character, and end of the tragedy. So Aristotle discusses the stylistic elements of tragedy. He is particularly interested in metaphors. So while considering diction, we have to consider the choice of the words. Okay, the usage of the words. So it is the expression of meaning in words, or it is a primary mode of imitating the action. Then we have the fifth one, that is spectacle. Spectacle is actually, it is least concerned, it is least connected with literature, and these are the scenes that are used in a drama for the sake of emotional attraction of the audience. Then we have song. Song is, as you all know, it is the melody, and it is the musical element of the chorus. Now we have the theory of dramatic unities. We have 3 unities. As we all know, we have 3 unities. The first one is unity of time, then we have unity of place, after that we have unity of action. Unity of time means it is the action of the play, and it should take place in a short time period, not more than 24 hours. Then we have unity of place. The action takes place in minimal number of locations, ideally just one location. Okay. After that, we have unity of action. The action of the play should be as clear as possible, and this unity of action alone is authentically Aristotelian. So these are the very important concepts that were put forth by Aristotle. I think it's clear for you now. If there are any doubts, you can ask in the comment section. Please do like, share, subscribe to this channel.